Hello children, once again I'm here with a new video, and in this video we are going to discuss about another cash crop, that is tea, an important beverage in India, and especially it is very common to the all the people of India. It is commonly used by the people of India. And first of all, the tea started in 1840 and 50s. It was started for the first time by the Britishers when they planted it for their own consumption, and it was done in the Assam hills for the first time. And that time only, for a little commercial purpose also, it was started, and since then it has grown up a lot, and in different parts of India now we can find the tea cultivation is done, especially over the slopes of the hills and mountains. Now, most important areas where now the tea cultivation is done include, especially if we see in the North Bengal, the Tarai region and the Duars of North Bengal, then in the over the foothill areas of Uttarakhand and in Himalayas also, again in the Nilgiri hills. Now these are the areas where the ideal climatic conditions are there for the cultivation of tea, and that's why tea gardens are found in large number in these areas. Okay, now before we start with the discussion on the conditions required for tea cultivation and all that, I want to remind you once again that do share the link of this video with your friends and classmates, and don't forget to subscribe the channel. Now let's start with the various conditions which are required by the tea cultivation. And as you all know, tea is it is used as a tranquilizer, and it is a mild stimulant also, and this is one of the reasons why it is so popular in the amongst the people of India. Right now, as we talk about the temperature, rainfall, soil, and all the different conditions required for it, first of all, let's start with the climatic conditions required for tea cultivation. Regarding climate, as we talk about the temperature, it needs always a high range of temperature. That means the temperature should always be around 24 to 32 or 30 degrees centigrades. Okay, now very low temperature also can cause harm to it, and very high temperature also affects the total production. The minimum temperature should not go below 18 degrees centigrades, and if suppose the temperature goes below 18 degrees, right, below 18 or 20 degrees, that actually causes harm to the normal growth of the plants. So the growth of plant gets retarded and it gets affected by the low temperature. So always it is kept in mind that the temperature should not go lower than 18 degrees, almost 18 to 20 degrees. So such an area is selected for the cultivation of tea where temperature should not go below that. Okay, so that is about the temperature. Now when we talk about the rainfall, rainfall is actually a well distributed rainfall is required for this crop, and it should never be less than 150 centimeters, or you can say a dry spell whenever it's there, right, for a long period of time when there is a dry spell. So that becomes very dangerous. You can say it's not good for the crop. when we talk about the rainfall, it should be minimum 150 centimeters. Okay, moreover, you can keep this in mind, one very important thing, that whenever there are, suppose, long dry spells are there, right, regarding the weather conditions, so if it is in such conditions, it's not at all good for the tea cultivation, right? So this is again very harmful for it. But if you see on the other side, suppose 150 centimeters is the minimum amount of rainfall it should be there. Rainfall is distributed throughout its growing period, that is good for it. And a maximum rainfall may go to 250 centimeters, 300, 350, or even at a few places it reaches to 500 centimeters. Clear? So that is not going to harm the crop. Especially one thing in that regard we should have in our mind, that rainfall is okay, rainfall is good for it, but it should not, the water should not stand there along the stem of the crop, okay, stem of the plant. That means water should not remain there stagnant. Okay, water should flow away. So this is one important thing, that whenever water logging happens, water logging is there, that means in plain areas there are more chances of water logging. This is one big reason why the cultivation of tea is preferably done on the gentle slopes of hills and mountains, wherever such favorable climatic condition is there. This is one main reason for it. So what happens there, whenever rainfall is there, nothing to worry about it, because all the water, we know, because of the slope, the water will flow away, right? It should have like that. Otherwise, if the water remains there for some time, that will harm the growth of a healthy growth of the plant. Moreover, one more thing is there, if we talk about the soils, right? Soil also plays an important role in that. Soil should be light, friable lime, you can say, that is a good soil for tea plant. And moreover, it should be rich in organic matter and iron content. Okay, it should be porous. That means when the water is there on the soil, it should seep down easily. So all these things are somehow, these are related with the cultivation of tea. Then when we talk about the leading states, right, the important states which are producing the tea in India, amongst them the Assam hills, then West Bengal, then Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, some parts of northeastern hills also, right, then Nilgiris, then Anaimalai hills in the south. All these are the regions which are important for tea cultivation, at least in India. Now, as we have discussed all these things, a few more things are important here to be discussed. Regarding the plantation of tea, there are basically two methods of cultivation of tea, right? How the seeds actually, how the tea plants grow up. Now for that purpose, there are two main methods, very well known by the people. Number one is from the seeds, right? The tea plant is actually propagated with the help of seeds. Now how it is done? First of all, the thing which should be kept in mind, that high yielding seeds are used for this purpose. Okay, seeds means seeds actually are taken from the, you can see in the, right, the seeds are there on the plant. Now these seeds are taken up from here, and these seeds are used for growing for getting the saplings out of it. Okay, now these seeds are first sown in the nurseries. See, the method is, first these seeds are grown in the nurseries, right? And when in the nurseries, which are properly maintained first, and when in the nurseries the saplings grow up, right, and to almost a height of 20-25 centimeters, then they are transplanted again to a new area which has been decided to develop into a tea garden. So in that area where already the land is prepared for that, there again transplantation is done. So in that area, now when the transplantation is done, always a uniform distance is maintained between each plant which is actually being resown there. Okay, transplantation of which is being done there, right? The main purpose behind keeping space of minimum 1 meter should be there between each plant, right? The reason for that is when this plant grows up, it needs proper space, and that is why it is always kept in mind that the plant should be grown in such a way that on all the sides it should have proper distance of minimum 1 meter on all the sides. Clear? So this is the first method of sowing, or you can say the planting the tea, right? Then next one is from the cuttings. Now how to get the tea plants from the cuttings? Now these can also be grown in nurseries, especially it is done with the help of cuttings of high yielding variety seeds. Okay, high yielding varieties of the tea plants. Now when the plants are there already, from them the cuttings are taken. Okay, and these cuttings are again planted in such a way, you can see here, these are maintained in such a way that from these cuttings the new plant comes out, right? And this, as it grows from it, that's why it is, because it is having all the features almost similar as that of the original plant. Okay, that's why it is also called by the name clonal planting, right? This method is also called by it is well known as the clonal planting method. The reason, big reason behind it is the features of the new plant which comes out of that cutting, right? That has got all the same, almost all the similar features as that of the earlier plant from where the cutting has been taken. Okay, so this is called the clonal planting method of growing tea plants, right? So these are the two methods which are commonly being practiced in the various tea gardens. After 2 years, generally the pruning starts, and the main purpose of pruning is to maintain a particular height of the tea plant. That means the height of tea plant should be maintained within 1 meter, okay, almost 1 meter, and along with height the diameter also should be almost 1 meter, so that the plucking can be done easily, right? So for this purpose pruning starts. Now in general, if you see, a tea plant can produce the leaves for 50 years, right? And every year, you know, when the plucking starts, it should be done, suppose almost in between April to November, right? That means the duration when we are having the southwest monsoon season in India, during that time the plucking continues. Okay, and almost in 1 year 18 to 20 pluckings, or the pickings generally we call it, that is done, right? The picking is done in such a way that it needs a very calm and patience, a lot of it's a work of patience and judgment, right? So for that purpose generally women pickers are selected, right? So this is one important thing regarding it. And one more thing is there, when after, suppose at every 10 days the picking is done in lower elevation areas, right? As we go towards the higher altitudinal regions, you will find after almost 15 days every picking is done, right? So this is important about the harvesting. Now because harvesting basically it deals with the leaves only, right? So once you will find two tender leaves and a bud generally is called as the fine plucking. right? And it is the all the women workers who are involved in it, they are trained in a very good manner, so that they pluck especially that part only. Okay, so this is how the plucking is done. Now the next part of it is regarding the types of tea. Now India has almost 28.3% of the total world production is coming from India, right? All over the world, if we take that as 100%, out of that 28.3% comes from India, right? And India is still the fourth largest exporter of tea. The first three are especially Kenya, China and Sri Lanka, and after that it is India. Okay, now if we talk about the total different types of tea what we have in India, generally we can see that there are 4 different types of tea cultivated in India, and accordingly the different processing is also done in all the different type of tea. The first one is black tea, second is green tea, third one is called oolong tea, and number 4 is called the brick tea. Now the first type of tea, that is black tea. Black tea is basically processed by drying the leaves, crushing them in a machine and fermenting them. Okay, so these it actually goes through different steps, and in all the steps, first step is actually withering. Okay, in this you will find the dried leaves, especially they are the leaves, when they are plucked, they are left to be dry in the sun. Okay, and after that, when they are taken from there, they are rolled mechanically between the steel rollers. Okay, so that the fibers will break, and after that the fermentation is done, and when the fermentation is done, it loses its color, right? And after fermentation, it is checked, and by roasting and drying the leaves over a fire, right? And then it is actually, then it turns into totally black color, and then it is blended and sent to the market. Okay, now this is actually the black tea. Next, the number 2 tea, which is actually produced in India, that is green tea. Green tea is not dried in sun. This is the basic difference between the two. Okay, but it is dried in ovens. Clear? So the leaves are actually steamed in the large vats and crushed in machines. Okay, and it is not fermented. So this makes the color to remain green, right? And this type of tea especially exported to China and Far East, right? Now green teas are highly flavored, and these are stronger stimulants, basically because of their higher tannin or tannic acid content, which is still there in it, because no fermentation has been done, so it still remains in it. Clear? Then next is the oolong tea. Oolong tea is a variety of tea. Basically it is of a greenish brown color. Okay, in this it is prepared by partially drying and partially fermenting. So it has not lost its entire green color. It is still greenish brown color, right? And besides this, if you say that quality wise what is the position of oolong tea, it is one of the best type of tea which is produced in India. It is very high grade tea, right? And maximum part of it is exported to United States from India. Okay, and the last the 4th type of tea which is produced in India, that is actually the most inferior type, or you can say it is having the coarser leaves, stems and the tea dust, when all these are compressed into rectangular blocks. Okay, and you can say these are just like the bricks of tea, right? And that's why when these are compressed in blocks or the bricks of tea, that's why it has got the name brick tea. Okay, and it is actually the inferior most, and it is mostly used by the local people. Okay, and moreover it is consumed in Russia and to some extent in Tibet also. Clear? So these are the different types of tea which are produced in India. Now India has the total world's largest area under tea cultivation. In spite of that, India is at the fourth position as an exporter for tea in the world. Okay, so this is something very important you all should keep in mind. Clear? And one big reason for that is because a large part of the total population of India also consumes the tea which is produced here. So now almost we have covered all the different points under the tea cultivation in India. Okay, so this is one of the most important cash crops what we grow in India. So children, you should cover each and every part of this video. Okay, just go through it very well, and I am very much confident that once you go through this video, you will be very clear about each and everything regarding it. So see you soon in the next video. Till then, bye.